They came for him one ordinary morning, not in the shadows of the night, not in a high-speed chase, but in broad daylight at his doorstep, where his toddler played inside, unaware that her father's life was about to shatter. Cornelius Anderson, a man who had long buried his past, stood stunned. The knock on the door wasn't the pizza guy. It wasn't a neighbor. It was the law. Finally catching up to a ghost they thought they had locked away years ago. But Cornelius wasn't running. In fact, he hadn't run at all. His crime? A mistake made in his 20s, armed robbery. A stupid decision. One moment, one gun, one fast food restaurant. No one got hurt, but that didn't matter. The law said he would serve 13 years behind bars, and Cornelius accepted that. He was sentenced. He was processed, and then nothing happened. No one came to pick him up. No one followed up. So he waited. He waited days, then weeks, then months. He told his lawyer. He called him. He asked, "When am I supposed to serve my time?" The answer? Silence. The system, so massive, so tangled, so flawed, had made a clerical error. They simply forgot about him. And Cornelius? He chose to live, not in hiding, not in disguise, but in plain sight. He got a job. He paid taxes. He got married, became a father, ran a construction business, joined church, mentored youth. For 13 years, Cornelius Anderson lived like a model citizen. And every year that passed, he thought, maybe, just maybe, they'd let it go. Maybe redemption didn't always need to be written behind bars. But justice has a long memory. Or maybe it just got bored. Because one day in 2013, out of nowhere, the knock came. "You're under arrest," they told him. He was confused. For what? "Your 13-year-old sentence," they said. His knees buckled. His wife cried. His daughter screamed. And the world? The world didn't know what to think. Because how do you arrest a man who has already served his time in life? The prison cell he was dragged into was cold, dark, crowded with people who had just committed crimes. But Cornelius? He had already reformed. And as news of his story broke, the community rose. Outrage flooded in. Letters, petitions, journalists dug in. How could the justice system imprison a man who had lived a life of righteousness, who had begged to serve his time but was ignored, who had done more for society than many who never committed crimes? And the question burned. What does justice truly mean? Is it a time served in steel cages? Or is it change, redemption, accountability? The streets of St. Louis whispered his name. Cornelius became a symbol of both failure and hope. Failure of the system that lost track of him. Hope in the man who didn't let that failure define him. While the bureaucrats shuffled papers and argued law, real people, mothers, fathers, preachers, activists, took the streets. Let him go, they said. He already proved he changed. And slowly, the tide turned. Judges listened. Officials reevaluated. Even those in the justice system, bound by rule books and cold regulations, began to see this wasn't justice. This was revenge against no one. It was punishment for a clerical mistake. And so in 2014, after nearly a year behind bars, Cornelius Anderson walked free. This time, the door opened not to prison, but back to the life he had built. The community rejoiced. The nation watched. And a question still lingered in the air. How many more like him are there? Forgotten by a flawed system, changed by life, yet punished by error. Cornelius never asked to be a symbol, but he became one, not because of what he did 13 years ago, but because of what he chose to do every day after. His story isn't just about crime or punishment. It's about identity, growth, a system that must learn to see people, not just paperwork. Because sometimes the most powerful rehabilitation doesn't happen behind bars. It happens in the quiet, everyday choices of a man determined to rewrite his fate. And in that story, there's a lesson. one that echoes beyond prison walls, one that says, we are not just the worst things we've done. We are also the best choices we make when no one is watching. And sometimes justice has to learn to see the whole story, not just the sentence.